Hello, everyone. This is Old School from WhatTheBuck.net, coming to you live from Valrico, Florida. It's evening here, about 9 o'clock. I got a YouTube request from Bornacowboy, who's already trying to start a hat bet for the Bucks-Cowboys game opening the season, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But he's asking about our QB situation down here in Tampa. He's doing a little bit of early scouting, and I'm going to commend him for that. That's awesome. I think you're a little bit early, given we got the whole preseason to deal with, but that's all right. Regular season is clearly where it matters. And it's a good question, right? Everyone's talking about the QB situation down here. We've been covering it ad nauseum on the show at WhatTheBuck.net, but I kind of want to go into it a little bit here on YouTube. For those of you who aren't intimately familiar with the Buccaneers situation, we come into camp with one of the many QB battles across the NFL, and typically that's what's going on in Tampa land since the Gruden days. But when we come in this year, we've got a couple of guys that are interesting. Luke McCown has been around for quite a while in Tampa, but hasn't gotten a lot of looks. A young guy, very little mileage on him because of the injuries he's had. Big arm, quick legs, physically decent, gifted guy. Seems to make at least 2 boneheaded plays per game, which have really held him back. But he's got all the intangibles. He was in the previous system for quite some time, played well in spelling Jeff Garcia when he needed to. To be honest, should have started against Atlanta last year and probably would have led to a different result, and we could be talking about a whole different thing now. But the past is the past, and it didn't happen. When they signed him to a new contract, he thought he was a starter. Fast forward a little bit, Byron Leftwich gets brought in as the veteran backup, which spelled the end of Brian Griese down here in Tampa. Byron Leftwich is someone who I had some hopes for. I know he has an incredibly slow release and windup, but I had no idea how slow he actually is in general. Big gun, but other than that, not a lot of physical talents, just a big, strong arm, and he's a pretty good leader. We're going to go over some stats on these guys in a second, but I want to kind of go through the 4 guys that we've got on our list, and then go back and go over sort of the highlights of who they are. Now, most of you who are following the Bucks who aren't Bucks fans know the biggest news is with the drafting of Josh Freeman. This is someone that the management team feels is our future franchise quarterback. Raheem Morris has said that on more than one occasion, that he thinks this guy is going to carry us into the next 7 years of Buccaneer football. Physically imposing, gigantic quarterback, big arm, out of K-State. In my opinion, didn't perform particularly well in college, but then again, he didn't have a whole lot around him as the K-State fans came on and attacked me on the YouTube video where I said that it was a bad draft pick. But that's our third quarterback, and a lot of people thought he had already done enough to pass Byron Leftwich in the OTAs. And the fourth quarterback, which is a little bit of a wild card, is Josh Johnson, a 1AA guy that we drafted in the 7th round last year out of San Diego. Huge numbers in college, just gaudy numbers. He had like 43 touchdowns and 1 interception his senior year, and the 1 interception bounced off his receiver's chest. This guy put up gigantic numbers. Doug Williams from the Bucs organization loved him. We went out and got him, and he looked like a boy among men last year. He just did not have the physical tools to compete. But those are the 4 guys we bring to camp. Now, coming into camp, the incumbent was Luke McCown, based on his experience and other intangibles. There was some belief that Byron Leftwich, because of his leadership capabilities, would be able to come in and supplant Luke and give us some veteran leadership while we could bring up a guy like Josh Freeman. Now, in the OTAs, Byron looked very, very slow. The reports that came out were that he wasn't doing very well. And coming into camp, when I'm in camp, this has all been echoed. If you've been watching my videos about what I've seen in camp, Byron Leftwich looks horrible. I know it's too early to just cut someone summarily, especially when he's your only veteran backup. But Jesus Christ, this guy is atrocious right now. And it's not saying he's a bad person, but I've never seen someone as sluggish in every aspect of the game. From his back pedal, for his drop back, to his setup, to his reads, every part of his game is slow. And then every 6th throw, he'll throw some 80-yard bomb or whatever, and then people go, oh, my God, he's really talented. And then he'll take 6 sacks and give up 2 interceptions. So I happen to believe Luke McCown is solidly in the lead right now. I think he's checking down a little bit more than he should because he doesn't want to make mistakes. But rest assured, he has the gun to throw it downfield. And with the Bucs running game this year, what we think will be a good running game with a young, strong offensive line, leveraging zone blocking, and a decent stable of backs with Ernest Graham, Derek Ward, Cadillac Williams fresh off of a second injury but looking good in camp, as well as potentially Clifton Smith. This is a team that should be able to utilize play action to get behind the secondary of their opponents. And 3 of these 4 guys have a gun that can go downfield pretty significantly. Now, Josh Freeman, again, this is the guy that's going to be the future. There are a lot of people thinking he was going to be the present. I've not seen anything in camp that makes me believe that. He looks like a young rookie QB. His reads are slow. If he gets off the first receiver, he's barely making it through the second receiver. He does seem to key in early. He does have a big gun, right? He's got a big arm, but I just don't think he's ready or at this level to read defenses, make the adjustments, make the right throw, right now. I think he needs to come up behind someone else, and I think that that's fine. We made the draft pick. Whether I liked it or not is immaterial at this point. He's a Buccaneer. We want him to develop well. We don't want to rush him out there and ruin the kid. The tricky one is Josh Johnson, who none of you will probably ever get to see play football, which is sad. He has the best mechanics of anyone in camp, in my opinion. He throws a good ball. He's accurate. He's very fast. Some of the things I didn't realize when I was looking up some stuff to do this YouTube was in the 2008 Combine, he had the best 40-yard dash time of any quarterback at 4.55, the best broad jump, and the best vertical jump. Right, and he was a multi-threat in college as well with throwing and running the ball. So I feel bad the kid's not going to sniff the field. If I were a coach, which in some ways thankfully I'm not, because I would have already said, screw it, we're doing a rebuilding. We don't need Leftwich in here. We're going to go youth. And my stack right now would have Josh Freeman behind Josh Johnson. So I expect when we see the Cowboys week 1, barring injury or some unforeseen activity in preseason, you're going to see Luke McCown. Now, when you look at the stats Luke McCown's put up over his career, which, like I said, has been sort of marred with some injuries. He started out in Cleveland, then came over to Tampa, had a couple of injured years. He's about a 60% accuracy quarterback. Now, his yards per attempt, just under 7, so you see there's a fair number of checkdowns. But like I said, don't be misled. He does have an arm. He's one of the few quarterbacks I've seen outthrow Joey Galloway when he was healthy. When you look at his interception percentages, they're 4.2 per attempt or per rack here in this stat score here. But that's against a really small sample set of data, to be quite honest. This is something that he has not done. The mistakes he's made typically are literally mental mistakes, like in the New Orleans Saints game a couple of years ago. Taking a safety, right, instead of throwing the ball away. This is just crazy, right? And now I'm even doubting myself. This is 2 years ago now. I can't remember if he actually even took the safety, but it was so damn close that if he didn't, it was still stupid enough that it made us want to kill the kid. But in that game, he put up big numbers. We ended up winning the game. He makes the right check at the end, throwing to Jeremy Stevens in the corner for the score. And those are the things that you remember more than the bonehead mistakes. But the bonehead mistakes make a coach apprehensive, I can imagine, to starting this guy. I happen to like him. I think it's his chance. I think if you see him go out there and struggle after a couple of games, though, the coaching staff's going to have a really tough decision because the future, they have pretty much banked on Josh Freeman, and I just hope they have the patience not to throw him into the wolves too early, regardless of how good or bad the running game is. So, Bornacowboy, I think you're correct. I think that's something that your defense, especially your defense, because of how aggressive they are, is going to have to try and take advantage of. I think you're going to have to definitely commit to stopping the run and then try and exploit what could potentially be a weakness in the Buccaneers, which is a quarterback without a ton of experience or a ton of confidence. But rest assured, Jeff Jagodzinski and the offensive coaches are preparing for that. Now, the flip side to this, interestingly enough, when you ask the question is, what are you guys rocking over there? So you've got Tony Romo, and everyone knows he's got skills. I mean, the guy's put up 90-plus ratings for the last 3 years, solid numbers. But when I looked at your depth chart, and I don't have it in front of me right now, I don't think. Did I put it down here? I don't see a whole lot behind that, brother. I see John Kitna, who I've always thought was pure garbage ever since in Seattle when he started out like 6-0 and they offered him a new contract. He said, no, I'll wait till the end of the year, and then he had dropping a big turd, never making any money again, and just running his mouth from an up-and-down seasons from there out. 13-year veteran, though. It's good to have a veteran on your roster. But Rudy Carpenter and Stephen McGee, I got nothing on. So our QB situation is clearly an issue. Your QB situation looks tighter with Tony Romo, a perennial Pro Bowler, but just saying, QB is kind of an interesting animal, right? After you get that first layer out of the way, very few teams are fortunate enough to go 2 or 3 deep with quality QBs. So I appreciate the question on YouTube. Hopefully this video is useful. I'll put it up there. If you guys like it, make sure you rate it. And we'll continue doing this. Like I said, Bornacowboy, we'll work something out on the hat bet. We're hoping to get some more of this stuff going. As you can tell, I'm not one of the trash talk guys, and that's all cool. You guys, whoever you are, do a good job at that and have a good time, and I respect it. Hopefully we're doing something a little bit different, and we're having a good time with it too. But I'll see you on the next video.